Hello, everybody. We are back for our AI Roundup this week on a Friday. I am so excited to be back with some of my favorite ladies here that work at Bloomreach, and I'm excited to introduce you to them. But first up, we're talking about the Edge Summit. Now, if you have been following us, you have seen all things Edge Summit come across your channels. You've probably been inundated with different cool parts about the Edge Summit. So if you don't know, and if you've been living under a rock, we had an amazing conference just a few weeks ago in Napa Valley, California. And we live streamed that event to over 15,000 people online. So if you've been following us, like I said, you probably saw a little bit of it. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being here if you were. But I wanted to highlight some of our amazing Bloom Reachers who were actually at the summit, just because we wanted to recap a little bit and talk about our favorite parts and talk about what we learned. So I'm really excited to introduce you all. And if Megan, you want to kick us off. Again, my name is Elena. I'm the community marketing manager at Bloom Reach, and I'll have you guys introduce yourselves as well, and we'll jump into it.
Thanks, Elena. It's me, Megan. I'm back again. Still can't get rid of me. And for those of you I haven't met on the live stream yet, I'm Megan Sklar, and I do digital and social media here at Bloomreach. And I'm going to throw it over to one of my amazing colleagues, Roxy.
Hi, everyone. Roxy Kaus. I am Director of Customer Experience here at Bloomreach. I manage our in-house consulting practice, customer training, and enablement group, as well as our business analytics team. I'm excited to be here today and to talk more about Edge Summit. And I'll pass it over to Abby.
Great. Thanks, Roxy. Hi, everyone. I'm Abby Spiewak, and I am on the sales team here at Bloomreach. I work with customers as well as potential customers and help educate them on all things Bloomreach.
I love that. And I love that we all had different roles here at the Edge Summit. So I was running around doing like in-person content, chatting with people, community building. Roxy, you were kind of helping with the conversation houses. Abby, you were assisting all kinds of things anywhere that was needed, which was amazing. And then Megan was the queen behind the whole live stream. So I know I wanted to kind of touch on first, what were y'all's favorite parts of the summit? I mean, obviously, aside from being in Napa, California, where it was amazing and the wine was awesome, like you can't get much better than the scenery that we had there. But specifically about the conference, what stood out to you guys? What was your most memorable part of the session or the week? I guess it was 2 days. So what would you guys say? Roxy, you want to kick it off?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So one of the most energizing parts for me was one, seeing and hearing from all the women in AI. I felt like that was very inspiring, and there are some strong women leaders in AI, but also the innovation that came from all of the talks and how AI is really, well, it's here now and is really shaping how we do work and commerce overall. So that was awesome. I really enjoyed all the talks around innovation, commerce there.
The female lineup that we had, like not only, I mean, it was not only our female leaders on stage, but our keynotes as well and our live stream hosts. And that was like one of my favorite parts as well. So I love it.
Absolutely.
What about you, Abby?
Oh, man, I would say, I mean, first of all, thank you to our marketing team for putting together such an incredible event. I feel like you can't really go wrong in Napa. I mean, the content, the location, everyone who joined us made it really memorable. I think this is really the future of events. I mean, having these more intimate conversations and being able to really talk one-on-one about these topics and have these kind of upfront conversations, really understanding how customers are leveraging AI in their business or how they plan to. It was really, really inspiring and also really helpful to just learn from them.
I love that. What about you, Megan?
Yeah, to echo Roxy, just being like in the room where it happens with such a diverse and like world-class group of people was amazing. To give like a few shout outs, Sherelle Dorsey, she hosts the TEDx Tech podcast, and she was one of our hosts on the live stream. I loved working with her and getting to meet Dr. Raman Chowdhury, who now has been honored, and she is considered one of the top, I think it's 50 or 100 people in AI that was just announced, and she was on the cover of a magazine. So it was like super starstruck moment to get to work with her, but also just how professional, how knowledgeable all these folks were. Like they're not just talking the talk, like they're living it day to day. They know what the future of AI should look like, both ethically and business wise, which I loved. There was like some great representation there where it's not just pie in the sky, we're going to do all these things. Who cares? AI is just going to bulldoze over everybody. No, like they were very thoughtful people who really have the best interest of both humanity and AI in mind. So I thought that representation was really awesome.
So good. I loved it from a community perspective too. I posted on LinkedIn kind of recently about how important it is to like mingle with your customers and your community in person. I think that we were all on Zoom for so long that like we're all craving that human in-person connection, and that part was like the best. But then also we felt like we tried really hard to like make people feel like they were there even if they weren't. So I think that, like you said, Abby, like I think events are moving into this more like intimate way to where you're not feeling like you're just hustling and bustling through sessions and just going through the motions. And I feel like my Wi-Fi is messing up, but if I'm breaking up, I apologize. But we'll hit to the next question just because I want to hear from you guys a little bit more. Megan, if you want to roll that. I wanted to hear from you guys about the topics that stood out to you guys. We touched on the folks who really inspired you, or you're just impressed with the amount of knowledge that they had to share. But did anything stand out from a topic standpoint? Anybody want to take that one to start off?
Yeah, I'm happy to kick us off if it's helpful. I think the topic of AI has been around for such a long time, and I feel like it's been this wave that we've all been riding. I mean, a long time ago, it was the fear that AI was going to take over the world, take over our jobs, and then you fast forward to now, and there's really just been this resurgence, right, of AI. And I think it's like with the release of ChatGPT, this is the first time that it feels really accessible to the everyday person. So I think a lot of the conversations that I really enjoyed, I mean, there's so much skepticism around AI, but there's also people who are really embracing it. So I felt like it was really just to understand how people are using it in their day-to-day life and maybe their concerns around it. You think about specific businesses who are afraid to really incorporate it into their business, or businesses that have been doing it for years. So I found that really interesting to just really hear from everybody and understand how they're incorporating it.
And I can add to that too. So I know we're going to talk about the conversation houses and all the different aspects of what happened at Edge. But one conversation that was really interesting is I was a part of one that we were talking about marketers and merchandisers and what will we do in an AI world. And there was one discussion where someone mentioned that ultimately marketers and merchandisers are less worried about their job being replaced and more worried about their value being replaced. And I felt like that was very powerful. And it's so true as we think about, us in these roles, like we feel like our value is what we're bringing and, AI replacing that. But one topic of discussion around that was how, as leaders, we need to understand the value that our team members do provide and then reframe their idea of where they bring value. And, the conversation is really like spending more time on the fun stuff or the strategic things should be a part of that discussion. And one of the attendees said one thing that their company told their team was make a list of all of the things you don't want to do anymore. And then from there, let's figure out how AI can do those things for us. And I thought that was very interesting, and it was a very good discussion.
Yeah. And Roxy, I love that, because I think when we think about that, it's that AI is actually giving us a little bit more time back to do what we want to do and a little bit more freedom. It's kind of supporting with those lists of tasks that we don't necessarily want to spend time focusing on, and kind of gives us room and space to really focus on the things that we want to focus on.
Yeah, I love this. And I think it goes and it ties back into what I mentioned earlier, AI and humanity, AI and ethics. There was an amazing quote. We actually just put out a social post, and some of our people who attended the conversation houses were able to take notes. And this quote really stuck with me. Using AI in the right way can stitch your team together, and using it in the wrong way can tear your team apart. So I think it's about being thoughtful, having those conversations, like Roxy said, what are the worst parts of your job? Let's have AI do that, and not the parts that we need you as a human being here doing to accomplish. And that's the creativity. That's the new ideas. That's the big, like, pie in the sky dream. So I love that should have stood out to all of us, because I think there is still some anxiety around what AI is going to do in terms of like our lives as professionals. And I think the tone was really overwhelmingly positive, but it's about setting that tone, setting that intentionality with how you're using AI in your business.
I think a theme for us on this AI live stream that has been, don't lose you. Like, you are still valuable. Your creativity is still needed, but how do we leverage it in a really smart way? So I love all of these topics that you guys just touched on. So I'm very excited to get into kind of like what you decided to take with you afterwards. So I'm hoping you guys can share maybe like what parts of the Edge Summit were most actionable and inspiring. Did you guys want to implement something new in your day-to-day with what you've learned? I love these quotes that you pulled, Megan, because I just like my mind is going in a couple different places in terms of like how I want to take that and implement it. But did anybody have any thoughts or epiphanies or action steps that they wanted to implement after they left?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious if there's any other, millennials who feel this way, but I feel, as a millennial, AI has, of course, been something that's existed, but not necessarily something that I've knowingly incorporated into my everyday life, or at least to my knowledge. So that said, I had initially felt like this guilt to depend on AI or ChatGPT specifically. I feel like if I'm using it in a way, I felt like I was cheating. Like I should already know the information. I shouldn't depend on AI to provide me with that info. But one of the sessions that will always stand out to me was a session with Allie. And Allie talked about how ChatGPT has really allowed her to become more creative. And that's giving her time back in her day. So for example, she had talked about she's not really good at gift giving, but ChatGPT allowed her to really like get creative with how she delivers gifts to her friends. So, after Edge Summit, I was thinking about it and I was like, AI can actually be used to really ignite my own creativity. So I started being more diligent about even utilizing ChatGPT in my everyday life, whether it was for work or for personal life or for planning any upcoming vacations. So I really used it as a way to reframe, this is a way to support me moving forward, as a way to kind of give me a starting place, to open up my bandwidth, and to give me a little bit more freedom. And it's not me cheating, but it's a way for me to, give me more of a starting place.
I love that. I feel like we're all millennials here, so we probably all feel your pain.
Yeah.
But it's always a great reminder. So I hope you guys can take that with you, because that was awesome. And also just like frees up more of your time, helps you be more productive. So, and I love that everybody at the conference was like all kind of on the same boat and everybody was encouraging all of this. So I love that you said that.
To your point, Elena, someone who attended the conference said that one of the things that they loved the most about Edge was the energy. And they also said they attend many conferences, and one of the major difference, because I know we've all been to conferences, is they said that everyone at Edge loved their job. Like you could just tell from the energy, the excitement. And I think that really just speaks to how excited we all are about AI and the future impacts that it can have on our work and our everyday life.
I was going to say, that's what these conversations are about too. And the fact that we were able to do it on such a large scale there was just like amazing. These are just bite-sized pieces, but next year, y'all, just get ready, prepare now.
Yeah. Just kind of like laughing to myself, Abby, when you mentioned millennial guilty to use AI, I think back to growing up as a millennial. How many times did our teachers say, you won't have a calculator in your pocket, you need to learn how to do this? You felt guilty about using the calculator, or guilty. Like I remember so many times I had professors and teachers being like, you have to cite a physical book. You can't cite an internet source. No way. Wikipedia is not a source. And now like that's ChatGPT is pulling from the internet. It's pulling from Wikipedia.
Right.
So there was definitely like some guilt there, but like incorporating it in baby steps. Like that's also the overwhelming thing I got, where businesses are feeling guilty because they're like, oh my goodness, why haven't I been using AI for the past 10 years? I feel like I'm behind. I feel like I don't even know where to start. and they feel like they need to start big. But the overwhelming advice, especially from technology providers, is like, you can start small, baby steps with AI. Maybe it's just using it for productivity to start with. But I have another quote. And this was from one of our other conversation houses, and it is as follows: there's a general fear that we're missing the narrow window to get on the boat when it comes to AI. You don't even need to be at the front of the boat. You just need to be on the boat. And I love that. Starting small, starting baby steps, little ways you can implement, and you can scale up, because there's an AI maturity curve. You don't need to start at the top of it. Start small and work your way up in your business, because it is daunting. If you're running a business that's doing millions and millions of dollars in revenue, and you have your processes down like that, how do you all of a sudden like kind of disrupt those and put AI into it? Small things. So that's what I loved that. And I loved hearing like the validation for the people in the room. Like, it's okay that you haven't already done this and you're not already all the way up the maturity curve. You just need to start somewhere.
Totally. Yeah. And Megan, on that note, I think it's so much about taking off little pieces at a time, right? I mean, I think a lot of us, myself included, will sometimes do a little bit of all or nothing thinking. And it's like, oh my God, I haven't been utilizing AI to the extent I should be. Now I don't want to touch it at all because I'm way too behind. But I think if we just think about baby steps, and just learning from each other, and as long as we are open-minded and starting somewhere, I think it's going to have a really huge impact. And then also on your note, I definitely still have nightmares about plagiarism. So that's where I think my fear of AI comes in.
Yeah, which I mean is something that we do have to be concerned about with when we think of Gen AI. But also AI is so much more than Gen AI. I think that's also like that came up a ton in the conference.
Totally.
It's sitting on the back end of almost all of your favorite technology platforms. On these lives before, people were talking about our favorite AI tools for creativity. I said mine is the TikTok For You page, because it definitely uses an algorithm and it inspires me. It sends me really cool stuff, that both in my personal and business life. So it's always funny when we think of AI now as Gen AI, but it's so much more than that. Yeah. Right. We can all get over our ChatGPT and our calculator guilt. One millennial at a time.
Exactly.
Literally. It's so funny. I saw this TikTok the other day, speaking of TikTok, and it was this woman speaking about like the future of AI and education and students being able to use it at their fingertips when they go home. And there's some advantages, because when maybe English isn't your first language, it can really help you kind of like fine tune your thoughts. And it has so many benefits, and the accessibility that it's taken over is incredible. But it's like, okay, how do we now monitor? And she was like, instead of the approach of like trying to catch people in the act of like copying something or plagiarizing, why don't we just assume that they're going to use it? And then when they come back to the classroom, we go through exercises where they edit what ChatGPT wrote, or we like kind of make it better and we put our own creative spin on it, and it kind of uses it as a starting point, but then we evolve. So she, and honestly, the hosts of the show were just like mind blown, because the way, like that way of thinking, it feels weird. And it's something that we're all kind of getting used to. But I think if we all just kind of accept that it's happening, like the train is, what did you say? The boat is like being on the boat. Like the boat is
leaving. You just gotta get a foot on. That's an amazing point. And it reminds me of a ton of stuff that came up on the conference. The way we shop and the way e-commerce functions with AI, I think, is fundamentally going to change. And that's going to be the most interesting part. Of course, incorporating AI in your day-to-day, but what is just going to be overhauled by AI, and thinking about that with intentionality, kind of like even that teacher was thinking about AI in schooling. Like we announced a really cool product when we reached Clarity at the Edge Summit. And it's like a chat functionality, and it's not just like a chat bot, like, hi, yeah, that product's in stock, but more it's going to be a back and forth conversation between artificial intelligence and the consumer to get them new products, things that they didn't even have a pulse on, things that are going to make their lives easier. And that's fundamentally different than anything we've seen in digital commerce before. And so I think those conversations about what is AI going to completely rewrite from the ground up, and those are maybe our like long-term goals with AI. And just determining what those things are going to be that are completely rewritten is like totally something that should be on people's minds. And that was definitely a topic at the conference.
I agree. Abby, when you saw the Clarity ad, or I guess the promo, the preview, was that the first time you were seeing it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, we had a conversation internally about Clarity, but to actually kind of see it in action, and to see the reaction of our customers and then be able to even talk with our customers after. I felt like I had so many people coming up to me after, asking questions, asking when it was going to be released. So really, having this new conversational commerce feature, we're really excited about it. So it was really fun to watch it in action.
I know. I love that you guys got to see. I mean, that was the first time I had seen it all the way through, and just being on the marketing team, you kind of know what's going on, obviously, but it was like, it was supposed to be a surprise to everybody. And it was just like, okay, like everybody be ready for questions. So if you guys haven't seen the video, the Clarity video is super cool, very engaging. And it kind of gives you like a piece of what it is doing in the conversational commerce space. So we'll share that link here below.
Yeah, if you're on YouTube, it is on our YouTube channel. But if you're on our other social media channels, go to our YouTube channel. I'll throw the link right now, and you can go check it out.
I know, what a teaser. I love this for us. But I do think Roxy dropped, and maybe it's just technical issues. But Abby, thank you so much for joining us today. I know Megan and I have been rocking and rolling together on this for a few weeks now, but it was great to have some new faces on here. So thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was great I hope I'm invited more often. Thanks for having me.
Yes, please come back. We are going to rotate between folks internally, externally. We are going to do another one here soon. So be sure to tune in. But thank you guys for joining us, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.
Great. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.